Spotify, Pandora.
Hmm.
How has that changed the game in the music industry? I mean, I know there's a lot. I know it has a lot. I've read some articles on it, but maybe in layman's terms, for
Yes.
myself and our listeners, how's it changed?
So just the most basic way of thinking about it is, right before we basically got to the music industry, so we hit it at the pretty much the worst possible timing, which was right after Napster took over. Before that, it was, I mean, it's good. There's some good sides and there's some bad sides to it. So early days, the music industry is controlled by radio. It's controlled by major labels, right? There's like five major labels that are controlling all the artists. They're feeding all that music directly to the radio stations. So the radio stations are then playing those music. Those artists get big. That's how people discover music. There was no internet. There was no Spotify. There was no YouTube. So that you're finding the music through TV, through movies, through soundtracks, through MTV, through radio. That's how you're hearing new music, right? So, and the major labels were in cahoots with radio stations, so they're just feeding them acts and be like, here's a new act, you're going to play this. They go, okay, money, you know, it's all this, it's politics, right?
Yeah,
The internet. So, and then they sell CDs, which cost 10 cents to make, and they sell them for 15.99. So you can imagine the market, you sell a million CDs, think about how much
huge.
money you're making, right? So it was a giant scheme. It was a giant, the money was huge. The acts that were out were making so much money. If you had a hit in those days, you were a millionaire. You're making all this money. It's fat. Everyone's fat off the business, right? And then Napster hits, and all of a sudden now it's like you can't sell it anymore. Now there is no selling music. Nobody buys music anymore. It's all about subscriptions. It's all about streams. Now what that does do, and YouTube opens the door to a lot of artists that don't have major label backing, right? Independent artists. So acts like us, acts like Revolution, acts like these acts that didn't never were on a major label. We had major labels that were interested in us, but the deals, we just never wanted to sign away our music or sign away, do these deals where they take all the product, you take your publishing, they take all that stuff. We just never wanted to do that. We always stayed independent. And the one good thing is that, yeah, it opens the door for acts that are smaller to kind of like get out there. Oh, I discovered this act on YouTube now. I discovered this act through my Discover Weekly on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. And that's cool. So, you can have these acts that go viral, or these acts that come out of nowhere, and that you discover these talents of people that are you would never have seen otherwise. But at the same time, it's really hard to make music off, or to make money off of music, right? Like, just from the actual creation of music, it's very hard to make the same amount of money. Like, music has been devalued more than any other art form in the world. You think about a painting, you think about a film, you think about a TV show, you think about just any other sort of art, right? That's out there. It's just so much more valuable. That piece of art, or that a photograph or anything. You can't. It's If you try to steal someone's photograph or someone's film, you're going to get sued. And it's like in music, it's just like it's so easy to do. It just became this thing where it's almost normal now, and like people get pissed if you can't just have the music for free. And so yeah, it went from making 15.99 CD on a 10 cent price to now we're getting a fraction of a penny per stream. So we stream 100 million times. You're making a few $1,000. It's not much, and it used to
So
be.
everybody listening, turn your volume down, plug your phone in, and all night long just play. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Spotify on the laptop, phone. I'm going to ring it through.
There was a band that when they did something like that, where it was like they were trying to like screw the metric up, where it was this band in Europe, and they basically took their phones, and they had it like their stream running their like 24 hours a day, and they had it on like all these different things, and they just had like dedicated things to just streaming the songs over and over and over again, just because they figured out that they can make more money by doing that from their streams, you know what I mean, than the subscription they were paying. So they were just like streaming their own music and getting paid for it. And of course they figured that out real quick, Spotify and all the and stuff
Uh,
figured it out. So yeah, that's the music industry now. We make money off of live performances. We make money off of selling tickets. So it is a big thing for us, is having to be able to tour, and not having that chunk of our income has been tough. But we're one of the lucky bands that can survive. But it's it's also just hard, because it's like, imagine if you were doing all the other stuff and not being able to play the games in football. You're lifting, you're training, you're doing all these things, and then you don't get to play for 2 years or a year and a half. It's like, it starts to become a real bummer.
it does. It really does. It's a great comparison. What is this going to do to the industry moving forward? I'm sure it's been a topic you guys have talked about a bunch. It's been a topic of, a lot of people like yourself, Iration, maybe 15 years ago wouldn't have made it through this, right? I mean, talk about what it's going to do for the industry moving forward.
Listen, Iration 4 years ago, maybe not, wouldn't have made it through this. We would have made it, but we would have probably been, I would have been doing something else for this whole time. You know what I mean? And I'm lucky enough where we can, I'm able to work on the music and still get paid, and not, we had good financial managers and stuff like that. So we're ready in case something happened. We didn't expect a pandemic. Obviously, we were thinking more like one of the guys breaks their arm or something snowboarding, or because we have a bunch of guys that are surfers and snowboarders, and like, oh, one of these guys is going to hurt themselves eventually, and we're going to have to miss a summer or something like that. And so we were more prepared for that kind of deal. And so, yeah, I think one of the good things in this is, in the beginning, is it forces everybody to be innovative and change the way that they think about the business and think about the way that they're interacting with their fans. I think that's a huge thing for us. And we try to be on the forefront of all of that. And we started doing Twitch streaming. We started doing we started a Discord channel, which is just, we're trying to build communities in places where people don't necessarily have to go onto social media sites to interact and be a part of it. I know a lot of people are trying to move away from Facebook and just socials in general, just because of how toxic it gets, and how you get the addiction level of Instagram and all that stuff. It's tough. If you watch The Social Dilemma, I think, and
I'm avoiding it on
yeah,
purpose.
it's hard. It's hard to reconcile.